Hi, thank you so much for clicking on our webinar all about a vision. In this webinar, we discuss everything to do with vision, how to create as well as deliver your own personal and organisational vision, how to inspire and communicate that vision with others. I always think an individual without a vision is like a ship without its captain or without a compass. I hope you enjoy it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So, for those new faces who don't know me or LaFosse, my name is George Davies. I lead LaFosse's change and transformation practice. Fundamentally, we support sort of junior change executives from a diverse backgrounds, industries, as well as organisations, deliver complex change and transformation through building high-performing and sustainable capabilities. Joining me today is Thea Crockett, founder of Embodied Creating. Thea, could you share a little bit more about the work that you do at Embodied Creating?
Yeah, sure. I come from a background in organisational leadership, largely social enterprises and in the charitable sector. Really love leadership and also it led to serious kind of health problems and burnout because I overdid it and took the weight of every organisation I worked in on my shoulders. And realising in my 40s that I needed a change, my life was becoming somewhat isolated. I wasn't really where I wanted to be. I stumbled into some work that led me down the route of a more creative approach to life that uses imagination, intuition, and self-awareness to plot a new course in life. And I loved it so much that rather than take it back into the workplace, I took it into coaching, developing my own business, and working with leaders who I have a bit of a strap line of I love to work with people who want to live well and excel. And so it's a whole life approach of making sure that leadership is delivering stunning results, but it's stunning results at home as well as within our professional environments. And yeah, I've spent the last 13 years dedicated to working that system, honing it to my own satisfaction. The work I developed when I learned it was quite head based. It was a lot of imagination, a lot of visualizations. And personally, I have a sense of needing my body to be a part of things. I like my body to be a part of my whole life, not just a taxi for my head. So I then did some further training that brought the embodied bit of embodied creating into the picture. And so fairly recently, I've started developing my own body of work, excuse the pun, that brings the body into this creative technology that I've been working for so long.
Nice, thank you. That's really good overview. Thanks so much. So I think it's fair to say that vision is a key element in organizational leadership. It guides efforts, motivates stakeholders, and fosters purpose and commitment within an organization. And equally, I think it's interesting that the concept of vision has sort of evolved over time. In the 1980s and 1990s, vision gained prominence through leaders like James Collins and Jeremy Porras, who highlighted the importance of visionary companies. Having visionary companies was really important. And the sort of period marked quite a shift to sort of long-term visionary thinking on sustainable success. But I think it's interesting today, sort of vision development emphasizes a lot more on alignment with values, culture, stakeholder engagement. And for many of us here who are sort of change professionals, I think having a really clear vision of what our change needs to look like and what our organizations are all about is fundamental. So that's what it's all about. How are we going to understand vision? What is it all about is what we're trying to unlock today. So Thea, my sort of first question to you is, what is vision to you? What is it all about?
For me, a vision is actually quite a practical tool. The way I approach vision is very imaginative and open. As I said in my introduction, very often I use an intuitive approach, and intuition can feel a bit weird to some people, but it's just a perception that we get very quickly that we tend to rationalize out of the picture. So my work is to help people not to rationalize that first thing they got out of the picture because it might feel impossible, it's very stretching, or even for some people, particularly high achievers, they might feel it's a little bit un unstunning in their psyche, in their habitual view of life. Um, it can include things that are a bit surprising to people, that might take them in a new direction. So it can feel very challenging sometimes when you get a vision that's aligned to all of your life, not just a very strict business related vision. And so my job is to help people feel comfortable with that and get the evidence that it's going to bring real value. The vision is a kind of, I think we're all used to visions. Like we work with it a lot in our modern world. But what I find people try to do is they try to find the route towards their vision ahead of time. And I think that's where we often go wrong. For me, the vision is something that pulls your actions, that informs you of your next steps. So it's something that pulls you to it rather than you trying to push to it. Because on the way, we just can't know what's going to turn up, what's going to be different. And so if you make your vision the starting point and then kind of pull yourself towards it imaginatively by getting the next steps from your vision, not from where you are, but from the picture or the idea of what you want. It 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 plots a kind of, possibly it looks more like a winding path, but it's actually a very direct path to results that tend to be a bit surprising, generally more than we thought we were going to get. um, and something that impacts the people around us as well as ourselves. Yeah, so it's a guiding idea and principle that helps hold us in a very creative way of living for me.
Nice. I think
Exactly.
yeah, 100%. I think a lot of us on this call will sort of particularly resonate with that when it comes to organizations sort of reverse engineering requirements to a solution. I see that so often in organizations going, "Look, I want to implement this new Dynamics platform. Go on, guys, tell me why you want to implement that platform." So I really understand that. So I guess, like you say, everyone's got a vision, but they might not necessarily know exactly what that is, or be familiar perhaps with that vision. I think it's fair to say we all know kind of roughly where we want to go, but not intimately. How does someone take it from, I'm starting out ground zero, I've got no idea really what that looks like. How do I create one that becomes really familiar, that allows me to be guided by that throughout my life?
The first job is to clear that sense of our perceptions, beliefs, assumptions about what we're here for, what's going to serve us, what's the thing we want, and try and actually push all of that information out for now. It's not that our understanding of the world is not valuable, but when you're trying to go beyond the kind of where your life is at the moment, you have to clear the ground of all the influences in your life at the moment. And these tend to be, thoughts and feelings about how you think you operate in the world, what people's reaction to you might be. We all have them, stacks of them, working our actions and our conversations. And to get a good vision, my first job is to help people just clear the space a bit. And it only has to be like a breath, a moment of breathing out and pushing everything to the edge to clear a bit of space. And then you can just ask, like, what's my vision of life? What is the vision of what I would love to create and celebrate in my life? And then the trick is to go with that first thing that you get. The trouble is, when you're working intuitively, it's a more subtle language than our thoughts and feelings, which are very clear and very available to us. So intuition might come as a picture or a symbol. It might come as a sense of knowing, that just like a knowing in yourself. And for a lot of people who don't think they're imaginative, it can come as a great emptiness and can be quite unsettling. And then again, that's to go with, well, that's what you got. What would you fill that space with if you could do anything, have anything, be anything? So, I mean, we could do it now if you wanted. We
Yeah,
could
I
take
mean,
it because it's 2 minutes to get a little picture, or to see, for people in this room, to see how this comes in your imagination, in the way your mind works, the way your body works, because it is different for everyone. I had one client once, and he felt his intuition in parts of his body. So I'd say, so what's your vision? And he'd go, well, I'm getting this fizzing in my knee. So what that's telling me is, and then he'd start to clarify this incredible vision about, public spaces. And I don't know where he got that from, but the connection was there for him. I could never have done it myself, but that's how it came to him. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it, about creating the right space, the right environment around you to allow that to happen. And I think for many of us on the call, everyone's got a busy day-to-day life, and if each one of us has our own vision, but yet for most of us, we're all operating within either a team or an organization. How do we ensure that our visions aren't negatively crossing over onto someone else's vision, or someone else's vision is sort of taking over from your vision? But equally, how do we stick to that vision on a daily basis when there are so many competing priorities in place?
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, I thought the questions that came in were just brilliant. Actually, it was when I was reading them, I was like, yeah, these are kind of, they're the meaty issues that we all have to deal with when we're creating alongside other people, particularly in businesses. So a couple of things about that. I think I need to get to my flip chart just to put some visuals around it, because I'm a very visual person. So, like, if we have, this is where I am here. Oh, can't really see that. Can you?
It's all good. Yeah.
If this is where I am here, and I spend a bit of time to create a vision, like using imagination, you can do free writing. Like if you take that moment and just ask yourself, what is it I want in life, or in this situation? It might be a work situation, or it might be opening it up to your whole life. Now, I have to be clear that at the moment, most of my work is with individuals, but then I work with individuals who work with teams. So usually the people I work with have some sort of leadership role, so they do have some influence in their teams, but very often they also have people they're reporting to above. And I think the important thing, your vision has got to have meaning for you if you're going to do anything meaningful towards it. I think if when we try and get other people to adopt a vision that has been created outside of them and go wholeheartedly for it, it's a bit of a non-starter, really, because to do all those things you said, you've got to be inspired by your vision, to hold to it in particular, to take action to it on every day. It's got to inspire you. It's got to be something you really want, and something that energizes that kind of creative energy within you, so that your way of approaching it can be like open and creative, rather than that closed kind of, well, I think if I make 200 calls a day, and then that will lead to this percentage of follow through, and that will lead to this percentage of. Now that all has validity, this is all useful knowledge that people have developed over time. But for me, if I have a vision and I'm here, I know that this path to my vision, it kind of, again, it's backwards. I go into my vision, and the next step that will take me here comes from my vision. If I try and get it from here, I could end up there, could end up there, and I could end up there. So I think the thing that I do with clients is make sure that their vision works for them, but it's not going to be total out of alignment with their company goals. And particularly if I'm being paid by the company, for example, to coach their people, I don't want them to be creating end results and outcomes that are outside, that aren't going to serve the whole company who's paying me, for example. So it's a kind of subtlety of not denying your own vision, but making sure it aligns across a number of different themes. So some of those might be your personal life, your personal leadership trajectory, and where you want to be as a leader, and that this stage of your life is just a part of that, in which case you can hold this vision I sometimes tell my clients not to tell their boss their vision, their own personal vision, because it can clash and it can lead to misunderstanding. There's nothing wrong with having your own personal vision and just going, that's my baby. That's where I want to go beyond here. If you work in a decent place, then they'll be interested. They'll want to help you get to whatever your long-term vision is, and they'll be interested. But there are too many places where that isn't the case still.
Yeah.
Um, when you're not focusing on your vision, because this is about focus, you can either put your focus and intention here and hold it here and keep taking this action, so you just get closer and closer until you can celebrate that you've created it, or your focus goes into your kind of your what you think needs to happen. So down here is the area of assumptions. I'm not going to write all this. Assumptions, beliefs, habits. So in my knowledge, where we could get is this: if we drive this sales something, if we want our teams to function, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. That all of this can be quite detrimental, because it comes from a very it can come from quite a fixed psyche, a fixed assumptive way of seeing the world. And it's this freedom up here, and this can cause a lot of problems. This is problem solving often. Like, I've got a problem, how do we fix that problem? Rather than, I've got a vision that inspires me, what's my next step towards that vision? And this is a bit of a leap of faith for people who aren't familiar with my work. But when you are focused on your vision, the problems tend to drop away. It's a kind of weird thing that you just start to experience less and less of these problems, because your focus and attention is in a different, more imaginative, more creative vibration, basically. I don't know who here is happy to work with energy, with vibration, but it's something I do work with, and I find evidenced again and again and again in the way people turn up. Does that answer your question? I don't want to make sure I've gone off on my hobby horse now.
No, I think so. I think so, 100%. And I think it's really interesting. So we've sort of spoken about how do you develop your own sort of personal vision, and that might be as a leader, your vision for your team, a vision for the company, a vision for the organization. I think for many of us, we'll create those visions. How do you bring that to life in a way in which reaches all of those individuals within your team? How do you communicate that vision effectively?
I think, right, when we feel the inspiration of a vision in ourselves, we become inspiring. And there's a sense of kind of that, I want this, and I see the value of this, that gets conveyed to other people. Now, some people you may just need to give time to start seeing the evidence, particularly if your vision is taking a new direction for your team or your company. You might not bring everybody with you, but one of the words I wrote down here was beliefs. Yeah, we all have a set of conscious or unconscious beliefs that we work to. You know, within your world, George, it's very often, I have to achieve in order to be valuable. Like, salespeople have a massive achievement belief that I'm only valuable by my successes, by my achievements. And so for other people, it's like, I have to be good, I have to be helpful, I have to put my own needs second and help other people first. Other people have a bit more of a, I've got to take control, I've got to be the boss of this if I'm going to survive, basically. And so we all have those agendas. Everybody has a range of those agendas going on. Now, if you can start becoming more and more aware of your personal unconscious biases in life, you will start to see the ones that will mean other people don't want to be a part of your vision, or other people are going to reject them, or the more powerful person is going to put you in conflict with more powerful people. So quite often those conflicts are actually a reflection of our belief systems. And the more we become aware of our belief systems and take the energy out of following them and into instead being inspired and following a vision, kind of a vision-led life, actually those objections tend to drop away much more quickly than you'd expect. Not instantly, you have to be patient with people. You have to give people their time to come to terms with things, don't you? It's all those normal leadership tools have to come into play here. And there may be some people who won't come with you. And then you just have to accept that there's been a parting of the ways, and you need to support that person to move onto something or somewhere where there's gonna be more alignment with what they do want.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really keen to open it up to sort of questions from everyone on the call. David, I think you popped your hand up earlier, so I don't know whether that was by accident or not, but you have got a question.
No,
feel free to jump in.
No, it was by accident. Sorry, George. I was just I was meant to give a thumbs up to what was said, but it turned into a hand. But it was good stuff anyway.
Nice. Any other questions? Derek, go for it, sir.
Hi, really interesting stuff. I just had a little bit of I got a niggle on the way through, because you talked about you tend to work with middle management. So, and then you talked about owning the vision and not selling someone else's vision. But how often do we in middle management have that unique position of selling our vision rather than having to communicate and sell the company vision or the grand vision?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's an issue. It's a point of where you have to sometimes just juggle things a little bit to bring them to bring yourself into a sense of comfort and alignment with what's going on around you and the priorities of the business that you're working for. But what I found is that when people have a team, very often what we're working on is their relationship with that team. So how they want to be a leader of their own team.
Yeah.
And so far, everybody I've worked with has found a way to bring into play the things they're getting in sessions with me that do make their team dynamics different, and the team start to see things getting better. The workflow becomes easier, the communication improves, the team starts to function better, basically. And so they're okay to come on board. And sometimes it takes a little bit of ballsiness, basically, to kind of go, I want my results to speak for me and my team in this. And you have to make that case occasionally.
Indeed.
I haven't yet, I have to admit, had a case where there's been a complete block to that. So I can't really speak to it, because
I've never seen it.
I find ways of helping my client work through any of those conflicts in a way that it's a bit like, there's that thing of like, I like bananas? Well, I like apples. I like apples because they're crunchy and round, and I like bananas because they've got a skin and they're easy to carry around and they're different taste. But if you take it up a level, we like fruit. So that's the other thing that people can do is find the place that where the agreement is by going up strategically.
Indeed. Yeah, you've just got to be careful though, because sometimes your fruit disappears and they change to meat products, to use your analogy.
Honestly,
and
yes. I mean, isn't that's the case? Suddenly we have to pivot. It's hard, isn't it?
I've never had a problem selling a vision to a team. What I've had trouble with is getting that buy-in to that form of the senior management's vision, because they can be very, very rigid in what they want to do, and then all of a sudden they pivot when they realize it's not working, rather than morphing the existing vision to a better state. So it just causes very clunky change rather than very smooth and evolving change, and it does create frustration, and as you say, you just get out of the way of it eventually and you start again with somewhere else, like I've just done recently.
I think that sometimes when you're in those environments, I mean, like, that's not your vision anyway. That's unlikely to be your true long-term vision.
Uh,
So then the job is, if you're going to create your own vision, it doesn't look like it's going to be with this bunch of people.
Yeah,
So
you can keep trying though.
yeah, I mean,
know
if it's important to you to change the environment, the values of an organization, if that organization you're passionate and you want it to shift, then that becomes the vision. And
exactly.
I tell you what, when you hold this, weird ways to wiggle through and make it happen do emerge.
Oh yeah,
But it can take some time.
Yeah,
It
or
takes time.
but you've also got to know when you're just banging your head off a brick wall.
Yeah.
And go and find somewhere else to do it. Somewhere it's
Go
more
find a different playground. Yeah.
A playground that wants you in it.
Exactly.
I love those analogies. Thank you.
I've got a question from Harpreet. Do you have any advice on how specific or abstract the vision should be?
I have had some quite abstract visions just because I get them and I think I don't quite know what that is. And so I just hold it as it is until it makes itself obvious to me through my life experience. I suddenly go, oh, it must be that. It suddenly becomes obvious in some way. But personally, I like to make things specific. I think when you work intuitively, people can get very, very vague and floaty on you. And you can do it on yourself, yeah. And you've got to hold yourself. The value of intuition is not floating around in this happy space of making it all up, and it's landing the information you get there in life through action. So and you can't do that without some specificity. So for example, when I'm working intuitively, what happens is there's something you see or feel, something jumps out of you, and it's important to notice that, because that's important in some way. Something that's going like, why is that red rather than green? Or why am I seeing that person rather than that person? Or why am I getting to call this guy not that woman? And there's something there to just go, there's something important there, let me name it, let me just be with it until I can name it. So my end results, my visions are very specific because I make them a choice. You know, I choose the end result of my boat and sailing. I choose the end result of my company, the influence of my company in the world. We make them specific, and then sometimes you break them down with some of the clear pathways to that. So you might have a secondary aspect of that, which is to grow my profile on LinkedIn. It can be very specific sometimes. Because you're getting the actions from here, it doesn't mean they are completely mad. Sometimes they feel a bit mad. Sometimes you might go for a walk in the park and you don't know why. But if you do go for that walk in the park, you're strengthening your own intuitive muscle. You're telling it you're listening, and it will start to give you more and more clear information. Sometimes it will be get off your ass and grow your profile on LinkedIn, Thea. Get in there, dive in, be more present, which I haven't been, and I'm just starting to be because my intuition has said so recently. So I think specificity is very important, but it's okay to hang with a bit of mystery until that becomes obvious.
Till it emerges. Nice. Any other questions?
Hey George, I did put a follow-up question in the chat too.
Yeah. Would you, Thea, so would you normally expect the vision to have a single core focus or a few target goals?
If it had a few target goals, I'd have those underneath. I'd want to know the full direction of travel, because those target goals might end up changing more than the actual vision would. As you wend your way towards it, suddenly you realize that target goal, that thing that I thought was a target that was needed on the way, is actually just going to take a lot of time and energy, and it's not actually getting us closer to this vision. So knowing when to let go of some of those things that you think need to be the pathway to your vision is really helpful. So I would have main vision, and then when the things emerged that are helpful towards that, you know, part of my work is writing. So I have an overarching vision of being a, you know, writing books that I love, books and characters that I love, and I have a secondary one to complete the novel I'm writing. Because it's really obvious that if I want to be a writer, I've actually got to complete this novel. So for example, if you had some business, you know, it's the thing is that I'm experiencing this with a number of clients who've been working with me for a while actually, and they're just going, is it really this easy? Is it really this? Is it all going to stop any minute? Because they're just getting ideas and call that person, and suddenly that's opening a whole new set of business opportunities for them. Or you know, get a new team member and suddenly somebody has emerged right in front of them who's exactly what they want. And literally they're going, is this really how it's happening? Is it that easy? And they're freaking out because they think it's all going to stop somehow. And I'm like, well, no, if you keep your focus here, it will all keep flowing. If you start letting your focus go down into how hard you need to work and pushing it, and, you know, getting your head down into your spreadsheets and getting that frowny kind of relationship with it, then yeah, some of that energy might drift away until you refocus and bring it back. So yeah, definitely room for some subsections in there, and they can be quite reassuring to your stakeholders as well. Yeah, you know, if you need to bring some people on board, then sometimes you need to just give them a language that is going to be reassuring to them, that you are taking them in a direction that is kind of, they can see the value of it.
Nice. John, I think you've got your hand up, sir.
So I just wanted to follow up on a suggestion that Thea made earlier, when you said we could do an exercise in about 2 minutes. I'd quite like to do that. Don't know about other people.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Absolutely.
go for it.
It's very easy, and you can do it or not do it as you prefer. Hey, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to suggest just a general open vision, and it might incorporate your working life. It might incorporate something in your home life. My suggestion is, don't worry what comes up. Just let whatever comes at this point come, just to give yourself an experience. Couple of things just to remind you of. The first thing you get, whether that's a sound, a thought, a picture, an understanding, grab it and don't let it go, because that's the valuable thing. If it's symbolic, it you know, you might get something that looks familiar, but it might actually just be referencing something or something that's similar. So there's a bit of making it up that happens once you've got your first thing. You have to kind of talk and think around it or write around it until it lands for you and it gets that sense of meatiness, and yeah, this resonates in some way. So yeah, let's just step into a vision and see what comes. And if you get nothing, that's okay. That's what you're getting. The thing I always tell my clients is, go with what you get. So if you're getting nothing, don't go, oh, I got nothing, so I got nothing. It's like, well, yeah, great, you got nothing. So what does that tell you? You know, and it might be just clear some space and have some nothing for a while. And it might be that means there's an open space for you that's ready for you to fill with other stuff. Okay, so take a moment. You can do this eyes closed or eyes open. If you keep your eyes open, I suggest you lower your gaze away from the screen and just give yourself some privacy here. You could even turn off your camera if that makes you feel more comfortable. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your bum on the seat. Take a moment to notice how you're turning up right now, like how you're feeling, what's happening in your emotions, your thoughts, your body. Don't need to do anything with that. It's just a moment of recognition. And we're going to relax. Just a quick relax through your core. So imagine you can soften around and between your eyes. Relax your jaw as much as you can. We hold a lot of tension in our jaws. Relax your neck and shoulders. Relax all the way down your back to your pelvis. And soften your chest, soften your belly, and take a full breath. And as you breathe, imagine that you're filling the space around you, filling the space in front of you, filling the space behind you, to either side, above and below, so that you are filling the space. And now you're in a moment of connection with yourself and of freedom. Ask yourself, what's one aspect of my vision that is valuable for me to see now? And just take that first thing you get. And when you're ready, open your eyes again. Reconnect. And if anybody's happy to share what they got, I can help you kind of work with it a little bit. Some of you might have just got a clear, very clear, direct information, but I know my intuition comes as vision, as pictures, and sometimes I need to make it up a bit to make it work for my life. So is anybody willing to share what they experienced or what they got?
I can go from my side. I think for me, it was about connecting people up together, which obviously is what we're all about now at the moment. John, you go as well, sir.
So I had to try to elicit something a few times, but when I did get a vision of something, it was a very clear brown book. I don't exactly know what it is, but it was almost out of sight. It was in my peripheral vision. I could not catch it, drifting away from me.
Yeah. I used to, when I first started using my intuition, I can still remember the first thing I got. It was like a card. It was the 5 of diamonds or something, and it was kind of there and gone. It was just over there, and I was like, oh, was that really there? Is that what I got? Because I wasn't used to just going, oh, that's what I got, so therefore bringing it center stage. Does it say anything to you? The brown book? What sort of book does it look like? A book you've written, or a book that has information in it?
Yeah, it's an academic book. It's quite clearly related to something I've been working on for a while.
Great. There you go. You know it's true then.
Yeah. I know I've got to get off my arse and do something about it.
Yeah. So if the next thing you can then do, like I go through a longer process with this, we acknowledge current reality, we acknowledge any beliefs that are coming up, any of the reasons you're putting that off. But the thing you can then just do is be with that book as you saw it and ask what's obvious to make this happen. So all you need is your next step, and just ask yourself what's obvious from that empty, relaxed space, what's obvious to bring this into being. And then just make that your next step, and don't worry about anything except that next step.
Thank you.
Nikki, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I had a house, not a specific house, more like a cartoony / icon house. So that kind of threw me a little bit. Not planning on moving or anything like that. So,
well, the cartoony side is interesting, isn't it? Is that what jumped out as the most obvious thing about it? The fact that it was cartoony.
mm-hmm.
Are you somebody who gives yourself time for artistic expression?
Writing, yes, not drawing.
Not drawing. So it might be an indication that there's something more visual and drawing to bring into your writing, and it might be that you're more ready for a move than you think you are. or a long term. If there was anything about that house that makes you go ooh, then it might be that there is something you'd like to progress to in your life, and it might not be immediate. It doesn't mean you have to kind of start packing your boxes and leaving now. When people start this work, I don't ever suggest they make massive changes on the back of one intuitive, don't put your house on the market or anything dramatic like that.
Got enough on my plate at the moment anyway.
Yes, exactly. But if I were you, I'd just be curious about it and just let it sit and let it kind of reveal itself to you slowly, because there's always information in it that is somehow useful and just expands our edges a bit into new areas.
Thank you.
Nice.
My pleasure.
I think unfortunately we're probably going to run out of time. It's certainly a conversation I'm sure that we could go on for a fair amount of time. If people want to contact you to explore how you may be able to help them explore that conversation further, how can they do so?
I would suggest at the moment that you could connect with me on LinkedIn. I've just put myself back in there. I'm in my with my maiden name, Thea Allison. You can always message me on WhatsApp or text. Both of those are better than email. I'm more responsive to text and eventually to LinkedIn than I am with emails.
Nice, sounds good.
And I'd love to hear from anyone. Again, if you got anything now and you want to just explore a bit further, I'd be really happy to help give you any tips or talk anything through that you got, with no obligation or anything like that, just for curiosity and support.
Cool. Great.
I really hope you enjoyed the Vision webinar. Certainly left a lot of food for my thoughts over the course of that conversation. I wanted to share a little bit more about our next webinar that we've got coming up. It's about our most precious commodity, time. On the 12th of July, myself and Paul Holbrook, the CEO and founder of Diary Detox, will be all talking all about time, how to optimize it, how to make the best use of it, and how to ensure that you're spending it wisely. If you're keen to join us, do click on the link. There'll be the booking link for you. Hopefully, we'll see you there.